Worst films of all time. I would like to start with Avatar: The Last Airbender and compare it to what I think is the worst film of all time, The Conqueror by Howard Hughes. I'm going to play devil's advocate and really felt and compare the. Yeah, I really didn't like the race bending criticism a lot of people had. I felt that it went too far and in itself was a form of racism. I felt that in the era of post Mass Effect era, we should still have where we where we're still having people saying that Johnny Storm can't be an African American. I yeah, it's very awkward. Like it's very weird because people don't understand race. They pretend they do, but they don't challenge themselves. They watch the casting of films such as the Fantastic Four, say no, this is gonna be terrible, but they don't go beyond that and say, hey, this is a guy. He's talented. Michael B. Jordan. He was in Chronicle. He was in that Academy Award nominated film that I don't remember off the top of my head, but maybe we should give him a chance. That has nothing to do with his race. It just has to do with his ability as an actor. And I felt like that's what we should keep track of. Granted, Noah Bringer wasn't that talented, and never was most of the cast, but like it wasn't like they were campaigning for Andy Lau to become a main character in Avatar: The Last Airbender, or Takeshi Kitano, or any of the really hardcore mainstream. Like, I felt like they wanted Asian actors, but like they didn't know who to cast. I'm talking about the audience, not the casting directors. It was very awkward how that worked out, and it was just a mess. It was definitely a topical movie news issue of the time. I think it's definitely worth re-examining, and that's all I have to say about that aspect. There's other stuff about the film that I thought was good too. I like the special effects. I like the story, even though like it was condensed from the entire book, and it wasn't, you know, like it was a little rushed because it was like the entire book. Yeah, the special effects were really good. Like you have to give M Night Shyamalan some props. He definitely enjoys films with interesting plots, like Sixth Sense. He really likes the sci-fi genre. He really likes those kind of fantastical elements where he can really utilize the sci-fi. And yeah, the cinematography isn't gonna win Palme d'Or awards or anything, but you know, yeah. But the 3D definitely sucked, like everything post other Avatar. Meanwhile, contrast that with John Wayne, and you see a lot of reasons why he wasn't cast. Uh, he does have this manly look to him as Genghis Khan and the Conqueror, but you know, he's more of a character actor. Like, how would he portray Genghis Khan like this? It's supposed to be an epic, like Charlton Heston in Ten Commandments. Like, do you really think John Wayne can portray a character like that? Like, you know, I see here these Mongols, Pilgrim. Like, it was just such a weird character acting. And there's also the entire controversy behind the backstage of the Conqueror, which you might want to look up. I don't want to say it because I'm afraid I'll say it incorrectly and accidentally upset some other viewers. So I'll let you read up on it and see how that is definitely the number one worst film of all time. Okay, number five, Dragon Ball Evolution. That film didn't really bother me that they Americanized it. Like, the American Akira YouTube video has been memed so often, but the Americanization of Dragon Ball really didn't bother me because, like, we've seen Americanizations of so many things. Uh, Blade Runner and the Ghost in the Shell. We already had The Last Samurai by the time that movie came out. I guess it's been in American culture so often that like even The King and I with Yul Brynner, like we're just used to having Caucasian actors playing other roles. Like sometimes we just don't care anymore unless, of course, you're an actor trying to make it as a different ethnicity, like which is definitely tough. Like that's so we've just got to accept it. Some people are very talented and very good roles, others not so much. Back into Dragon Ball Evolution, I thought it was a very interesting adaptation. Actually, it was definitely for the MTV generation. It wasn't fan. It wasn't really for fans of the anime, which is very weird when you're marketing it as Dragon Ball Evolution. But it has some interesting special effects. It was more of a Batman Begins situation rather than a over the top explosions, Michael Bayish, Dragon Ball media franchise piece. Yeah, it was funny. Like Goku's like, "Oh, I want to go see Chi Chi at the dance, the prom, or whatever." And then it didn't get that. It wasn't that terrible. It was like PG. It wasn't like Michael Bay where it was like, "Hey Shia, are you mad?" What happened in the film, and people thought it was amusing. Uh, that's when I stopped watching the films. Well, uh, Dragon Ball Evolution definitely lost most of its appeal trying to like. I mean, it was interesting because it was like teenagers trying to get through life, but it was very Reaganist. It wasn't very. It wasn't like they lived a tough urban life or anything. Like, also not to mention, like Dragon Ball was supposed to be like this fairy tale. Like, Dragon Ball Evolution sort of seemed like this. It wasn't even Blade Runner-ish or Batman Begins-ish because it wasn't really that gritty. I guess it was more of an American dream thing where like trying to get through life, trying to get the girl to go to the prom with you and everything, but then all of a sudden you're like the superhero and you gotta try and save the world. Like that's how I approached Dragon Ball Evolution. And it was very weird that Piccolo was a psychic for some odd reason, telekinetic. Also, it was weird because like it was Dragon Ball normal instead of Dragon Ball Z, which is more popular in America. It was very funny, but I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world. Okay, on to number 4. Batman and Robin. Not a masterpiece, but I enjoyed for the right reasons. Not because of the bat nipples, not because of the Batmobile without a top on it, as blows himself up dude would say. Uh, Not behind Alicia Silverstone casting, although she's not the worst. Like there's talent behind her, but that wasn't in that film. It had good special effects. Like like I really liked. Like some people really hated it when Robin drove the bat bike through the wall and then there was the bat symbol through it. I felt that was very cool, actually. Like that's what Dragon Ball Evolution needed. Like some more over the top stuff like that. Like it was. I found it to be a very funny movie, actually. Like it was very entertaining. Special effects. It wasn't as witty as the '60s Batman era, where it was a commentary on the vigilantes and the authority figures and police officers and everything. But it was very funny, and I really like the Clockwork Orange reference. And they were planning on another Batman film, but I'm sort of glad they didn't. Uh, it's sort of a bummer that Alfred Alfred didn't die because it would have been a symbolization, a symbolism, whatever the word is, of the end of the Alfred Gould era of Batman, but oh well. I like I like that film. Also, there was the themes of family and trust, and that was key in The Dark Knight Rises also, which was coincidentally enough. And I felt that was interesting. Like, there's always Batman and Robin struggling for power and control in that film, and I felt that was interesting. Next film, number 3, The Room. Uh, Unlike number 2, I felt that Tommy Wiseau probably couldn't replicate this film. Unless we got the original cut where it was probably as incoherent as that scene where all the dialogue is incorrectly placed. Like, if that was the whole film, I would have considered it a masterpiece. But since it became a bunch of memes, and it's been overexposed, I felt. Like, I enjoy it, but yeah, it's a cult classic. Like, a lot of people enjoy the film, so I can't consider it a worst film of all time. Like, a lot of these films that people say are the worst of all time, people still watch them, so I can't really consider them the worst of all time. Okay, number 2. Troll 2. Troll 2 I really consider the work of an auteur. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Could create Troll 2. If it was some other director, I don't think it would have been as interesting. So I'm really glad the Italian director they got for that film made that film. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as a hit as much as it was. Like, it was just a normal American family doing stuff, and like, it was basically about the Italian director's not the vision, but sorry, vision of the film, and I felt that was interesting. Like, I felt like it was definitely very cutting edge, very against the grain, and a lot of people found it amusing, even if that was against the director's original intent. Number 1, Tekken Blood Vengeance. There's so much to say about Tekken Blood Vengeance. It's the deconstruction of the screenplay done by Dai Sato of Cowboy Bebop fame. I love writing screenplays. You should check Red Letter Media's Phantom Menace review for what consists of a story and what consists of character in Filmmaking 101. It's very interesting. In the story, you follow Xiao Yu, even though the entire plot is really about the Kazumas. Yeah, the Kazumas. Well, basically that family, and it's about them trying to conquer the world. But at the same time, like, you're doing this all from the perspective of a schoolgirl in Japan, and so much of the film doesn't make any sense. And I'll get into that more later. Like, that in itself could be its own video, and I don't want to spoil that now.